What up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Toot James. And I'm back in the building. Another video, Marvel Contest of Champions. So today I want to take a look at a certain set of details that's in the game, and it has a pretty unique backstory. Whether it was intended that way, I'm not too sure. But I did some digging around, and I had two theories on this. Actually, three. But the first one seems to make a lot more sense. So I'm gonna switch it over to what I'm about to explain, and we'll get into more details. Okay, so here's one of the fighting stages that we have, the Oscorp lab. Now, if you guys don't know, there's two labs that Oscorp has worked in, and to be more in particular, this was the lab that was first used by Norman Osborn and Dr. Octavius at a time when they teamed up right before the split. Now, what makes this pretty interesting is that the green liquid inside these tubes was basically the Oz formula, or the Green Goblin formula, whichever one that you want to use. And at the time, they were testing them on animals, but in particular spiders, which to see how they will react to the formula. Now, like when I'm looking at this, they do look like species. A little far away from spiders, but it definitely is a homage to where the Green Goblin formula originated. And what they was trying to do was they was trying to, make something similar to Spider-Man. And they did get some of his DNA. And they created I wouldn't say the first symbiote, but they made one similar to the symbiote, which they dubbed Venom. And that was the time they went and tested out. It blew up in Osborn's face, which, for all y'all who don't know who Norman Osborn is, here you go. And also Doc Octavius. So here is your Norman Osborn, and this is your Dr. Octavius. Okay, so basically in this part is the underground laboratory that Norman Osborn and Dr. Octavius worked at, excuse me. And they was doing a secret mission. And this was before Oscorp came to what it was today. And what they were trying to do is they was trying their best to kind of replicate Spider-Man. Because Norman Osborn was very fascinated about Spider-Man, and they were trying his best to replicate his powers. So with the help of Scorpion, they was able to get a blood sample from Spider-Man, and basically in these test tubes is where they were growing the Green Goblin formula, or the Oz formula. And in the test tubes, they would test animals, and most importantly spiders, to see what would happen when it interacts with the chemical. Now, I know these just look like regular specimens just sitting in the tube. I know the stage is pretty early when the game came out, so we're not too sure what these really are. But just hypothetically, let's say these were the spiders or animals, however you want to take it. This was the test subjects, and they eventually was able to create a new life form, which they called Venom. Yes, they called it Venom. And Norman Osborn didn't think much of it because he just thought it was black goo, until one day it attacked him and Norman, and it embodied Norman for a little bit. So Norman Osborn was Venom, quote unquote, at the time for just a brief moment, until Octavius electrocuted him, and then the symbiote escaped from him and then left the laboratory. So after that happened, and Norman Osborn told him, "Hey, you need to go and get the symbiote. You know, this is our project." Octavius went on the hunt, and then boom, it embodied Spider-Man, which y'all know from the Tobey Maguire film. That's when the symbiote Spidey was born for that brief moment. Blah blah blah. And then he eventually separated from Spider-Man, and of course, Eddie Brock becomes Venom. But I thought this stage here was pretty cool because it pays homage to the secret laboratory. We're going to use the long term of Norman Osborn and Dr. Octavius, who were real close friends at the time prior to all this happening. And I had another theory in mind, which I'm going to show you here in a bit with the first photo I had, and just to give you kind of explanation what I was going. Okay, so upon looking at this photo doing arenas, I had noticed it was just one tube of a specimen in a green formula. Now, I didn't know there were two other ones that pop up simultaneously, so this was my other theory, and this may be spoilers for some, so if you haven't played the game or finished it, I'm just going to give you a warning right now. You know, here's my disclaimer. And so basically, once you beat the game, getting close to the end, and Norman Osborn goes into the secret room, he inputs his code, opens up, and then voila, it's his son Harry Osborn that he's been treating all this time, and why people thought he was away. And he has stuff, you know, connected to him, and then the symbiote is actually embodied him, or at least half of him. So it's like half symbiote, and then it's half him. And you know, and then at the end, you see the symbiote touch the glass. So in retrospect, he would be Venom at that current moment. So I figured this was like an embodiment of Harry Osborn covered in the symbiote. Like I said, I know it looks weird because, like I said, this was an early design and whatnot. So I thought maybe that was a cool theory. I'm like, At the time, I thought it was just that one. So I'm like, oh, you know, here's Harry Osborn in the background, chilling. And then if everyone who doesn't know, when the symbiote leaves Harry Osborn, he ends up becoming Hobgoblin. You know what I'm saying? So Hobgoblin would be a nice addition to the game. I'm definitely down for it because Green Goblin is pretty dope. So that was my original theory before I noticed there was actually 3 tubes. And then I was like, okay, well now, since we're going to put in that retrospect, this was actually paying homage to Norman Osborn and Dr. Octavius' first lab, their secret lab that they worked on together when they created Dub Venom at the time, you know, trying to replicate Spider-Man's powers. So I thought that was pretty neat. A good little notion by Kabam. And it's just fun seeing little things in these backgrounds and stages, and they all have a story to them, you know? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on both of my theories. But for the first theory, for sure, this is the secret lab that Norman Osborn and Dr. Octavius worked on. And I'm just going to assume the specimens that you see in the tubes are the animals that they were testing the formula on. And my other theory was this one at the time is indeed Harry Osborn, who's been embodied by the symbiote, which would eventually, once separated, become Hobgoblin, which, like I said, would be a nice addition to the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, leave your thoughts below, hit that like button and that share. Shout out to my OGs and the new young bloods that came through and checking out my channel for the first time, or just recently started following me and really pushing me and driving. I appreciate the wonderful feedback on the videos, and I hope I could bring more content like this to you guys to the forefront. So until the next live stream or video, it's your boy Toot James. I'm signing